8-speed automatic transmission. So a lot of other vehicles in the same price range as this one has the CVT transmission. So this one, if you don't like the CVT, this would be a good option. 8-speed automatic transmission, 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. Now the way it's geared, now if you notice, I didn't really push the accelerator that much, and it was spinning a little bit of a wheel there as I accelerated. I noticed when the very first gear is geared really low or something, because it just wants us to just jump when you push the accelerator when you first get started, which, you know, sometimes you kind of have to get used to it, because when you put it in reverse, it just kind of goes fast, and then when you put it in drive, it kind of like you got to be easy with the pedal when you first accelerate, because it has this apparently a low gear ratio or something where it just wants to jump. But it's not really like a fast vehicle or anything. It's just that initial acceleration in the beginning makes you just want to jump. Now, this gets really good gas mileage, pretty good. I mean, it's in the mid to high 30s, and you could probably get a little bit better than that if you drive a little bit easier than I do. And I've been kind of driving in back roads and not so much highways, and sometimes using this cruise control, sometimes not. So the fuel economy is really good. Now, it has a pretty good amount of safety features. It has the lane keep assist. It has the adaptive cruise control. Now, this is the SE trim. So the SE trim is kind of middle of the road. It's not the low end, it's not the high end, it's kind of the middle, and it's the most popular trim, I would say, because for the money you get a pretty good amount of features without going too overboard with the cost, and you know, it's one of the popular trim levels, the SE. And I have a full overview of the SE, inside and out, everything, 2022. And I also have a 2019. When this generation first got started, I did a night video of both the SEL and the higher and lower trims, because the headlights are slightly different and the interior lights are slightly different. So I did a side-by-side comparison of both of them, and I'll have the link to both of those in the description, because it's basically the same vehicle. There's slight differences, but it has the same headlights and all that stuff. So I have the night video for those, and then I have a full, like, you know, pushing all the buttons and checking out all the materials and everything, looking at all the compartments, showing you all that. But I wasn't able to drive and give you a test drive video at that time, and also when I did the night video, I wasn't able to do a drive down country roads and stuff like that to show you what the headlights look like on the road. So I had the opportunity to drive the SE Jetta 2022. Now the 2023 models are going to have different names on their trims, so you want to keep that in mind. It's going to be a different, you know, they're going to sound different. Not really sure how much different the vehicles are going to be, but you know, this is still the same generation. I think it's just the naming structure. There might be slight differences as far as some appearances or whatever, but it should be about the same vehicle at its core. But as far as driving this vehicle, it's relatively easy to drive. Like I mentioned, you have to get a little bit used to that initial jump, and it could be, you know, it is a turbocharged engine, and the 1.5 liter. I think it's a combination of just that low end, a little bit fairly decent torque at low end, and also the low gear ratio of the transmission, the 8-speed, kind of gives that initial jump. And it's not really a slow vehicle. It's just not like as fast as you would think, you know, given that initial acceleration. So the adaptive cruise control is good. I mean, it keeps you at a safe distance, and you're able to adjust it. There's a lot of adjustments there. So it has several, 5 settings as far as the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. When you first press the button, though, it doesn't do anything. It just makes the system ready for you to adjust it. So you keep that in mind. You press the button first, then you can start adjusting it from there. So I guess it's to avoid accidental presses or whatever of the button. It does have the electric power steering, and so that makes it, really easy to maneuver, especially at low speeds through a parking lot or whatever. So yeah, and it's relatively roomy and comfortable. The back seats are good, as long as the front seats aren't too far back. The back seats are excellent. They're pretty good. I mean, they're pretty good. So this vehicle, I would say, as far as the pricing and everything, it would compete, like, say, with a Honda Civic. But I was thinking about comparing it a little bit to the Accord in a way, because it's not really a fair comparison, really, but it is. I could see where somebody could put these side by side and make a decision, because of the price. The price and the looks. Like the Honda Civic kind of has this different look, and if you don't, if you want some just like a regular sedan looking car, then this kind of has that appearance. And this has a decent amount of room. The adjustments on the driver's seat, does have a power seat, but the adjustments are a little bit lacking for me anyway. Doesn't seem like it goes down far enough or something. I don't know. It's a little bit weird, but it's not uncomfortable at all, though. I've been satisfied with the comfort, and just generally driving the vehicle around, it's been good. It's got a little bit of noise while you're driving. You can hear road noise. You can hear outside noises. It's not it's a budget vehicle. I mean, it's intended to be in that entry level price range. So, it's one of those things where it's easy to say, okay, well, to criticize certain features, or whatever, lack of features or whatever. But when you consider the price range and the competition, it does a decent job, especially considering it has the 8-speed transmission, because some people just do not like the CVT, and that's going to be, I think, a top selling point for some people, because they just don't want the CVT, and a lot of vehicles are going to the CVT system. Now, it's going to give you a little bit better fuel economy. So, like, say, the Honda Accord, I've experienced with a lot of experience with the Honda Accord, and it has the 1.5 liter CVT. It gets a little bit better gas mileage. There's a couple things, a little bit of, I like different, little bit of features that are slightly different, but as far as just driving it, it's similar. Has a similar feel to it. Yeah, the buttons they're a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to, but it's not bad. They seem to operate fine. There's not really, other than just the placement of the buttons and stuff, it's not really has been an issue. Some vehicles, the buttons are kind of weird, or they kind of get in the way. The design sometimes get in the way of you using it. But this vehicle is not really an issue. Now, right in here, to the right of my knee, on the right side, is right in this area here, is a hard plastic, and depending on my seating position, sometimes my leg kind of gets pressed up there, but it's not really an issue. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, so having the seat back and having it positioned properly is a must. But overall, the comfort I've been happy with, considering it's a smaller sedan, compact sedan, and everything. It's been fine, and visibility is good. I mean, it's just a very practical vehicle, and if you like the way it looks, you like the lack of CVT with the actual 8-speed transmission. It's hard to complain about the fuel economy, because you're getting great fuel economy. It's like right now it's showing 30. My average since I started driving the vehicle, 37.1. So that's pretty good. Now it has more of a basic, touchscreen system, but it does have a touchscreen. So like I said, the Honda Accord doesn't even, on the base model, doesn't even have the touchscreen, and it's in the very similar price range as this vehicle. So something to consider. It's got the automatic climate control. It's got heated seats here in the front. They take a little while to get warmed up, but once they get warmed up, they're nice and hot. And it has the full proximity key system, where you just push the button and it locks and unlocks the door. It just alternates. Get in the vehicle, push the start button, and you know, drive it 100%. So like say the Honda Accord in this price range does not have that. It's a partial proximity. It does have the push button start, but you still have to take the key out of your pocket and push the unlock button to unlock the doors. So it's another thing. But yeah, you'll probably notice some noise getting in with other vehicles, a little bit of road noise here, but not bad. The camera always makes it sound louder than what it really is, especially considering I'm not playing any music. A lot of vehicles in this, you know, they have a little bit of noise. If you're playing music or something, you don't really hear it. All that stuff kind of gets drowned out. It has a lot of gear, so 8 speeds is a lot of gear changing, but you don't really notice it that much. I mean, you could get in this vehicle and at certain times kind of think you're driving a CVT to some degree, because you don't have like large steps to overcome. So 8 steps would be, you know, with the transmission. It doesn't have to wind out. It's able to shift gears, and maintain and find the right gear ratio for the engine easier, because it has all those gear ratios to choose from. So it has and I think that's why it gets such good fuel economy. You know, the design of the engine with the turbocharged, the direct injection as well, and the transmission shift points, I think it really does a good job. Now, I haven't used eco mode at all. Just something to keep in mind with the fuel economy I've been getting. So over 37.3 is what it's showing right now, 37.3, and no eco mode at all. I hadn't touched that button. So, and I have turned off the stop start feature, the idle stop. So that's also turned off. So you could probably even get more than that, depending on, you know, your driving conditions and all that stuff. Not a fan of the turn signal noise. It's the type of noise that annoys me enough to where I don't even like using the turn signal. I try to avoid using it sometimes. So we're at around 40 right there, 40 miles per hour. So I'm going to accelerate to 55. Yeah, you can really you can feel that turbo when it kicks in. Once you get to a certain RPM range on the engine, you can really feel it take off. It's very impressive for a 1.5 liter. Very impressive. Nobody behind me. Let me quickly come to a complete stop. All right. Yeah, once again we're spinning tires, but I did, accelerate really fast there. Yeah, the traction control engaged a little bit there, but it stayed straight. It stayed completely straight, and it has some decent acceleration. I think what it is, though, that if you accelerate past its perfect RPM range, then it kind of it has a lot of diminishing returns there as far as the acceleration. There's like this sweet spot. So if you want to drive quickly, just kind of giving it good acceleration without like flooring it, and pushing it past its optimal RPM range. If you keep it in that, you'll feel it. As you're driving, you'll feel that nice sweet acceleration when you have the RPM range up, but not overboard, and it feels really good. It has good acceleration. Still trying to get used to that initial jump that it has. That initial jump, that's what's making it spin tires. And go easy, get it rolling. Now I'll floor it. You can actually hear a little bit of turbo noise there too. Spinning up. But yeah, for a 1.5 liter, it's pretty impressive. The acceleration, the performance, the shifting of the transmission is really good, really. I like it. Fuel economy is good. Passenger space here in the front is good. Cargo space, the trunk's really big, which I show in the main video. So yeah, there's a lot of pluses about this vehicle. Availability, price, just the way it looks. If it's something that you like the way it looks, that's a major factor for a lot of people. Most people, they won't even stop to test drive it if they don't like the way it looks. So that's kind of a barrier there. But yeah, if you haven't taken one for a test drive and you like the way it looks, good. I think it's with the availability of vehicles now, this might be a good option. If somebody hasn't bought it, they don't have any experience with the Volkswagen, they never really looked at them, the Jetta, for the price, if you're looking for a decent economy car, get on gas. It's hard. You definitely want to include it in your shopping list as far as looking at it, I would say. Braking is really nice too, because you can tell it's not a heavy vehicle. You can really just kind of get it to stop quickly. It has a really strong pedal there as far as the braking. It doesn't take much pressure, and you're slowing down rapidly. And the turning radius. Let's kind of see what that's all about, just to show you here. So yeah, oh yeah, very good turning radius without the tires slipping and sliding too much. It's actually pretty good. All right, sport mode. Yeah, it seems like sport mode on most vehicles, it just kind of revs it up too much and gets it past that optimal RPM range. So you get more of the diminishing returns. You do get better responsiveness though, like just normal driving. The responsive as far as like holding the RPMs a little bit higher when you're just kind of zipping around. But as far as like acceleration, it seems to be better just to have it in regular drive mode. Because that way you have more control over, keeping it the RPMs from going too high, keeping it in that sweet spot for the engine and transmission. Now it has the manual mode to where you can, bump it. So you pull it back to downshift, push it up to upshift. For me, that's not really that useful, unless you're trying to downshift, like you're going down a hill and you need some engine braking. That's what I would use it for typically. The manual shifting. It basically, it doesn't like when I put it over here, if I go too slow, it's gonna basically want to go in lower gear anyway. So if I slow down or something, it went ahead and just lowered the gear anyway. So even if it's in manual mode, it's going to keep you in a safe gear ratio anyway. So you're not going to have full control over the gears as you would think, which is good. I mean, if you accidentally put it over there, you don't want to mess up the engine. So that's something to consider. Okay, so we're at highway speeds. I mean, this isn't like the super fast highway or anything, but so I'm going 62 miles per hour. And as far as the ride quality, it's pretty darn good. As for the type of vehicle it is and all that stuff, there's not as much road noise as, say, other vehicles in this price range. Some vehicles have a lot of road noise. Hondas are like that, and Toyotas are like that. Toyotas have a lot of engine and road noise and exterior noises. Just loud vehicles, a lot of them. in the lower price ranges. This one's actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty good. Now this road is relatively smooth too, so that way we don't have any unfairness there. Because some roads are so rough that it doesn't matter what you're driving, you're going to hear it. So yeah, lane keep assist. It doesn't have a grip sensor, so you kind of have to, like, you know, sometimes even if you're holding the steering wheel, it's going to tell you to put your hands back on the steering wheel. So, you know, it works fine. It's not one of those type of systems that's constantly fighting against you all the time. This one's fine. I mean, I could leave it on and not be annoyed by it, or, you know, it's not really a problem at all. So yeah, just cruising on the highway. You set your adaptive cruise control to the distance you want, and your lane keep assist, and you're basically just kind of cruising, changing lanes, and relatively stress-free. It's pretty stable on the highway at this speed anyway. This is not a 70-80 mile an hour highway or anything, but it feels good. Some vehicles, they just feel a little bit, most new vehicles don't, okay, but some vehicles, the way they're designed, when you're at high speeds, you feel a little bit unstable, but this one feels good, you know. It has that solid feel with the, you know, the like it holds this lane fine, and there's no it's not like you're unstable, basically. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It feels stable at high speeds. If you've driven long enough, you know what I'm talking about. So go a little bit faster here. Get up to 65. This road's a little bit rougher road, a little bit older road. You can hear a little bit more road noise. A lot of traffic out today. Okay, so we're coming up on a car. The adaptive cruise control has sensed it, and it shows here on the screen that there's a car ahead, and it's going to slow me down and match their speed. So they're going about 60, and this is the so there's like 5 different settings. This is number 2 out of those 5, so it's relatively close. You can go much further than this as far as the distance, but this is kind of minimum distance for me. You know, you typically had to have a little bit further away, but just to kind of show you, hopefully see it on camera. If it's too far away, you may not be able to see so good. It keeps you at a consistent speed behind the person. Some vehicles, the adaptive cruise control is kind of like it's revving and accelerating and decelerating, it's speeding up, slowing down, just with this micro movements with the accelerator. There's just enough that you can pick up on it, and it's just annoying. This one is steady and smooth. It doesn't do that. My Honda Ridgeline does that, and it's a little annoying. It's trying to keep a steady speed, but it's not doing it as smooth as this vehicle. Yeah, I'm holding the steering wheel, but it just, if I'm not like moving it, I'm just kind of keeping it steady, then sometimes it says, hey, you need to hold on to the steering wheel. Doesn't feel any movement. I guess that it goes by feel. Some vehicles have a grip sensor in the steering wheel, so you just hold the steering wheel, and it knows what's going on. Unlike that person not knowing how to drive. So in a few minutes, we're going to take a look at the actual headlights. I'm going to reposition the camera so you can see the road better, and so you can see what it's all about. They're pretty decent LED headlights, but it's something that I was not able to do in the prior night video. I was only able to kind of show what it looks like shining in the parking lot and stuff, but this will give you an idea of what it looks like actually on the road. So this trim does not have automatic high beams, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to control the high beams myself. This vehicle does not have automatic high beams, so I'm going to control them myself. So we're in low beams now, and the low beams do not have like a super sharp, like low beam cutoff. It does have a fade. I mean, it does have a cutoff, but it's not like a super sharp one. And the low beams are nice looking. They do a decent job. There's people pulling out in front of me here. But yeah, there's a good example. You can see there's not like a super sharp cutoff on the back of that vehicle, but it does not shine in their back glass and the low beams. So they have a little bit of distance in front of me, and so you can see that we can see fairly well, but it does fade off quite a bit. The low beams fade out between me and the vehicle in front of me. Now, of course, it is the low beams, but the views there on the side is good. It's not super bright headlights. They are LEDs, but you know, they're not like super bright. And I can, you know, if you're not going to have a super clear cutoff, then you don't want them overly bright. Otherwise, it might potentially, you know, blind other drivers or whatever. And there's no auto leveling, no active bending, anything like that. So it's just regular reflector LED headlights. There's like 50 times more traffic on the road tonight than normal. So we're going to try to get to the high beams portion. But between people pulling out and cutting me off and all that stuff, I haven't been able to get to the point where I can put my high beams on. Typically this road is empty. Maybe one or two cars at this time of night. But right now it's just bumper to bumper. I guess because of Thanksgiving holiday coming up and people are scrambling at the last minute. try the high beams now. Right in here. Oh yeah, they're pretty darn good actually. They're not super bright, but they do give you the ability to see pretty decent distance. I think the actual aim of them is pretty good. It's just the brightness isn't all that great. Same thing with the low beams. It's just an issue with the brightness. I mean, you can see pretty good. Hopefully you can pick it up on camera. You can see those trees there, and the distance is a lot better than the low beams, of course. It doesn't fade off. It's relatively evenly lit here on the road. They're on the sides as well as the middle of the road, and the distance is good enough. The brightness is just not quite as much as it could be, but overall I think it's adequate headlights. I mean, I've seen a lot worse on new vehicles, but this is really good. I think this is in the good category. It's not in the excellent or great or anything like that. It's not in the poor. It's not in the, you know, it's not in the half really. It's in that good range. Here's the high beams again. Yeah, if it was just a little bit brighter, I think it would be much better. It's just a matter of the brightness. Backlit buttons are super helpful at night. Being able to see the button, knowing which one you're pressing is excellent. But there's one thing that I noticed in a lot of vehicles, and it doesn't matter the price range, and it shouldn't matter the price range. This is essential. With the interior lights, and I'm actually going to turn on the night vision here so we can actually see what's going on, because the interior light, the buttons for the interior lights should always be illuminated, backlit illuminated. These buttons up here to turn on the interior lights are the only lights, buttons that are not backlit illuminated. So you notice all these other buttons in the vehicle are illuminated here in the door, everything. But the one button that the only time you will use it is when it's dark. That's the only time you're going to use these light buttons, is when it's pitch dark and you need to see something. So not having the button that you're guaranteed to only use when it's dark backlit makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it's not just this vehicle. There is a lot of vehicles out there, even some that are like close to $100,000, fail to have this done. And I think what the problem is, it's a cost-cutting thing. There's two factors. One is most people don't know this is the case until they buy and use the vehicle. They buy the vehicle during the day. They don't know this design flaw is here, so that it doesn't affect sales at all. It might affect repeat sales a little bit, but this is not something that a lot of people mention in reviews or anything. The other factor is cost. So it doesn't affect your sales that much, so why do it? But the cost is going to be a little bit more, because most simple switches, most simple light switches operate on a ground switch. So they're running a ground up there. They're running a hot, but then it's grounded. The switch actually operates off of a ground. So they would have to run a separate hot in order to illuminate these lights all the time. But it's worth it. It's not that much more expense. Obviously, some vehicles do it. It's not like it, and they're not, not costing an arm and a leg. It's just a matter of the extra few dollars to run the line and have a dedicated light for these, to backlight these buttons. So yeah, it's one of those things that drives me crazy in modern vehicles. A modern 2022 vehicle, and it doesn't have backlit buttons on the light switches, the buttons that you're guaranteed to use only when it's dark. Makes no sense.